Gründler es Deputy Director del Centro IFO para las Finanzas Públicas y para la Política Económica. Klaus, thank you so much for having us a few minutes. Good afternoon from Spain.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Klaus, we are seeing how economic experts around the world are rather cautious about the economic development this 2023. This is a finding from the economic expert survey conducted by the IFO Institute and the Institute for Swiss Economic Policy. Expectations for individual countries average global growth rate of 2.8%. Does this mean that a global recession is unlikely?
Yes, definitely. So the experts that we survey, they do not think that we will end up in a global recession this year. And actually, they are much more optimistic for the upcoming years. So this year, the estimate is a global growth rate globally of 2.8%. To put that into perspective, this is approximately 0.5 percentage points below the 10 years that we have before the global pandemic. So this is a lower number, but it's far from a recession. And then there is a large heterogeneity. When we look at the globe, we see that some experts in African countries are actually quite optimistic, and also in some parts of Asia, experts are much more optimistic. Unfortunately, numbers do not look so good for Europe with respect to 2023. So here, if you look at Europe, especially at Western Europe or Southern Europe, we have numbers of approximately 0.7% expected GDP growth.
That's interesting. Do you think in Europe experts are less confident? Why? Which factors could drive a more pessimistic outlook for us?
Well, there are, of course, global factors, and then there are a lot of country-specific factors. So the global factors that still have a great impact all over Europe, I'd say, are, of course, high energy prices and disruptions of global supply chains. But I have to say that even in Europe, these experts are optimistic with respect to 2024, and then with respect to long-run growth until 2026. Here we see much higher numbers, actually.
And are experts more confident about next years beyond 2023?
Yes, definitely. So for 2024, on a global scale, we see an expected growth rate of 3.3%, which is roughly the 10-year average before the COVID-19 pandemic. So this is good news. And then for 2026, the experts even expect GDP to grow by 3.8%. Which is a large catch-up effect. So here we will see much better prospects in the long run.
And which is the perception for other regions as Africa or Asia?
So in Asia and in Africa, experts are very confident that there will be growth rates up to 8% actually. So here in Sub-Saharan Africa, for instance, or Southeast Asia, we see very high expected growth rates because these are exactly the countries that grew a lot during the past year. So even for those countries, expected growth rates are below the average, but still, if we compare these numbers on a global scale, they are still larger than in the rest of the world. So if you would exclude, for instance, countries from Sub-Saharan Africa or Southeast Asia, then the expected global growth rate for 2023 would only be 1.7%. So this highlights the global differences that we observe here.
This highlights global differences, you say. Klaus Gründler, thank you so much for having us a few minutes.
Thank you.